Now that you're all caught up with what PlayStation Mobile was, is, and will be, it's time to take a look at about 150 games that released on the PlayStation Mobile platform. And when you look at that, it seems like we have enough time left. So grab some popcorn and snacks, sit back and relax, and don't let me tell you what to do.
Portable gaming has always been one of my favorite ways to experience a game. Instead of having to wait for your parents to finish watching Touched by an Angel so that you can use the TV, you could be anywhere else and have fun. When games made the leap to mobile phones, I was ecstatic about the future. I remember back when I was only 7 years old and asking my parents if they could buy me the latest mobile game on the App Store, and they simply replied, "What the fuck are you talking about? Mobile games aren't even a thing yet." This was probably the moment that I realized that I need some sleep. From then on, the mobile gaming market grew and grew. As phones kept getting better, so did the games that were released on them. Back when I played FIFA on my Nokia N-Gage, I remember thinking that portable gaming couldn't get any better than that. But oh boy, was I wrong. Just like how I was wrong in my previous video, when I stated that there were no PSP games released on the Sony Xperia Play, when there actually was. It was Loco Roco. 500 points to the user who was kind enough to point this out in the comments. As we all know now, the mobile gaming market kept growing, and Sony tried taking a piece of the cake with their PlayStation Mobile platform. Things didn't go as Sony initially planned, and they ended up lashing out by shutting down the service and purging hundreds of games. Some games have managed to find new life on other platforms, but others were lost with no way for us to acquire them again. Luckily for humanity, there were certain sailors with pretty goth-looking flags that managed to salvage a little bit of the wreckage, allowing us to preserve some of these titles that would have been lost otherwise. With the preservation of these titles comes the responsibility of someone playing them, in order to answer the daunting question of whether or not these titles even deserve to be preserved in the first place. I mean, they are mobile games after all, and as I've stated previously in one of my videos,
Superhero Fight Club Reloaded sucks.
What I forgot to mention in that clip is that I also hate mobile games. The only games currently on my phone are Pokemon Go, Pokemon Quest and Minecraft, all of which I haven't opened in months, but I keep them there or else my phone might end up having more memory than I know what to do with.
I should download some more RAM.
Things weren't always this way. I used to love mobile gaming when it first became a thing that could play more than just Snake, but as the years have gone on, I started getting more and more irritated by the constant ads, pay-to-win mechanics, and the lack of overall quality in these games, to the point that I just stopped playing them. At this point, you're probably wondering why I mentioned this instead of diving into the games. It's because I need you to know that when I started this, I went into it with a negative perspective of what to expect. Even the first game I opened was terrible. I also need you to know that this video was made purely for educational reasons, so if I happen to mock a game that you might love, I want to assure you that my intentions were not to hurt you. Education on the other hand is sadistic and wishes to cause you harm, so brace yourself as we dive into the age-old question.
Okay, it's just a mobile game. It can't hurt anyone. So that was a fucking lie.
The first game I tried playing was Lucilla in the Dark. It's a game where you're a ball and you have to bounce while avoiding these bats that are hard to see and kill you. Collecting the herbs on the ground makes your ball do something like bounce higher, but that seems to be a bad thing, because the hard to see bats are up there. And did I mention that they want to kill you? When playing this game, it makes me forget about my problems and makes me think about how ugly this game is instead, which is always a good thing.
Wait, I've got a family to get home to. But this game is so ugly.
Due to this reason, I give Lucilla in the Dark a solid 8 out of 69 rating. Next we have Squirrel Run, an auto-running game featuring a hamster as the antagonist. The poor hamster runs on its own, and you have to make it jump or slide in order to avoid certain death. Auto-running games are the worst type of games. It takes something you're trying to actively avoid and forces you to play with it. These games offer a few seconds of joy, but they tend to lose their charm quite fast, and Squirrel Run doesn't offer any reason to choose it above any other running game. I give Squirrel Run a hamster ball rating. After expecting a squirrel and being catfished by a hamster, I need to get my squirrel fix, or else I might say something that I might regret. Maybe little acorns can scratch that itch. Oh wow, this is more than I expected. On the surface, Little Acorns might look like a simple platformer game where you play as a squirrel that can wear cute outfits while collecting food for the winter, but it's actually the most realistic squirrel simulator ever created. What looks like a simple platformer to you is actually what squirrels do every day of their lives. When the squirrel needs to avoid giant bees and spiders, that stuff is real. When the squirrel swings using a grappling hook, okay, that part is not entirely accurate. Squirrels don't actually use such primitive technology anymore. When the squirrel returns home at the end of the day to a loving family and stocks up its supplies, it's what squirrels actually do in real life. When you put funny outfits on your squirrel, it is what squirrels do in the wild. Not forgetting that squirrels that wear outfits are better at camouflaging themselves than those that don't.
But how do I know all of this?
Well, my friend once took this photo while I was like 2 meters away from him, so that kind of makes me an expert in squirrels. For its fun factor and detailed realism, I give Little Acorns a golden acorn rating. Gunhouse is a bright and colorful cartoonish styled puzzle game, mixed with some tower defense elements. You need to build up cannons and defenses in order to survive waves of enemy onslaught. At the beginning of each wave, you play a quick time puzzle game, where you need to slide different blocks in order to match them and form bigger blocks. Those bigger blocks can then be used to either build a cannon or stock up on special attacks. When the puzzle section is over, a wave of enemies will attack you, and you need to choose which defenses to use to protect your house. During the rounds, a little robot collects coins that you can spend on various upgrades. All in all, it was a fun experience, and the fast-paced nature of the game makes it easy to pick up for a round or two. I give Gunhouse a silver bullet rating. Oh Dear Alpha is a driving game that looks like an old-school arcade racing game. The point of the game is to get to your grandmother's house before you run out of fuel. Drifting properly is a key feature to achieving your goal, and the only thing standing in your way is your own speed, the sides of the road, and deer. I have no idea how hitting a deer actually affects you, besides grey deer that give you a slight speed boost, and the fact that you now have to apologize to vegans. Oh Dear is still a fun driving game featuring some colorful environments and intense speed. I give Oh Dear a grandma got run over by a reindeer out of 10 rating. In the next game on the list, Origami Kami, there's an origami vagina floating down a stream. And you need to click on the screen in order to send ripples of water that help guide the vagina on its quest to collect lots of origami birds. If this was intended to be a challenging game, then they failed, as clicking in front of a vagina will send it back up the stream, allowing you to collect origami birds that you might have missed. If this game was intended to be relaxing, then it is too ugly to accomplish that goal as well. I kept on playing, hoping that the game adds more elements that makes it more fun, but things just seem to stay boring. There are some extra obstacles added further down the stream, but they do nothing to challenge you in any real way. After my time with Origami Kami, I didn't feel like I need to ever return to it, which is why I give it a smelly fish rating. A Bad Opportunity is a game that missed the opportunity to be a good game, and instead opted for being a boring game. In the game, your character tries to perform at the opera, while people are throwing tomatoes at you.
I'm not an expert at the opera, but I'm pretty sure that when people start throwing rotten tomatoes at you, you're in the wrong field of work. These tomatoes are fresh.
The biggest problem this game faces is the touchscreen controls, as you need to use your finger to drag the character around in order to avoid getting hit by the tomatoes. This obstructs my view and causes me to sometimes get hit by a tomato that I couldn't see due to my finger blocking the screen. This could have been a fun little time waster, but the controls set it back a lot, ultimately making it feel unfair and not worth continuing to play. I give A Bad Opportunity a Bad Night at the Opera rating. BRG is an anagram for RGB. Apart from that little fun fact, I have no idea what's going on in this game, and it looked ugly while I was doing it. From the brief time that I spent with it, it feels like I wasted my time trying to figure out what was going on in this game. I give BRG a hard pass rating. Knight Riders 3D Arcade Racing is a driving game. Well, there are other bikes on the track, but overtaking them brings you no benefit. The only thing you're really racing against is the clock, and the clock is quite boring, showing very little personality. This game tries to bring the arcade racing experience to mobile, but slightly misses the mark. I give Knight Riders 3D Arcade Racing a 3D rating. Kayutane is a game. In this game, you're like a ball head in a room, and you need to shoot another ball a certain amount of times with smaller balls, and if it touches you, you die. Every now and again another enemy will pop up, but even that is boring. What do you want me to say? The game is not very innovative? Congratulations, now you made me hurt the creator's feelings. This game gets a 26 balls rating. The next game on the list is Translate Helper. In this game
You know what? I don't think this is even a real game. But you can never be sure, so let's get to the bottom of this.
I think this might be a translation app. Oh, it appears it's not working. Oh no, wait, my apologies. It's probably just a Bethesda game simulator. This game is broken, so I can't give it a rating. No, wait, I changed my mind. I give it a 1 rating. Ball Flip is one of those games where you're a ball. In this specific game, you're a ball traveling on a long path, with squares that can kill you if you touch them. You can move left and right or jump to stay alive. That's about it, but don't blame me. Blame the developer for this game getting a flipped ball rating. In Twist Pilot, you play as a sentient butt plug that just can't stop spinning. No wonder why you keep getting yourself into these situations. As the butt plug spins, you need to guide it through a linear passage and avoid hitting things. You know what? This isn't very appropriate for children. I'm ending this review right here with an FNVA rating. Something more suited for children is Super Brain Eater 3. Somehow there managed to be 2 other Super Brain Eater games before this one. It is basically a Pac-Man clone, but instead of playing as an adorable yellow character that eats dots, you play as an adorable red character that eats hearts and brains. There are different enemies and traps laid out over the stages, and you need to collect all the hearts and brains and return to the start safely in order to progress. If you like Pac-Man games but hate yellow, you can always give this game a try. I give Super Brain Eater 3 an R rating.
Wow, we're only 14 games deep and things are already starting to look bad. But I can't give up now, for the sake of humanity, or else the terrorists win.
I'm not sure what this next game is, as Japanese is not my home language, but if I had to guess, it's some super fun math game that I'm not smart enough to figure out. But wait, what's this?
Nice.
Even though I don't understand it, this game is perfect and gets an 80,085 rating. Alien Walk is a game where an alien bounces, and it seems like everything kills it. I have no idea what is okay to touch in this game and what is not, and the game does a poor job at communicating that to you. I give this game a dead rating. Project Stealth is a stealth game where you run around and try to collect crystals and reach the end of a stage, all while avoiding being caught in the enemy's sight. The game offers a unique experience which is sadly brought down by the choppiness of the game, as it would sometimes freeze during critical moments. The game also fails to clearly explain its mechanics, which leads to a lot of trial and error that might turn some people off from giving the game a chance. It is still a fun experience and great to see this game giving the stealth genre a try on mobile. I give Project Stealth a Fishing for Sam rating. Chicken Chicken, an awesome type of soup as well as a puzzle game where you need to match a key unlock to the color of the cage in order to free some chickens. Some of the colors are very similar to one another, making it difficult to distinguish which color you are supposed to select. More keys and locks are added as you progress, making it more difficult to match the correct colors. I give Chicken Chicken a colorblind rating. Next on this list is Aquilibrium. When I opened the game and saw the ugly title screen, I thought to myself that I was in for a bad time. Luckily I remembered an old saying from my childhood,
Don't judge a book.
and I was able to move on to the game part, which I actually enjoyed. In Aquilibrium, you play as a plumber with a jetpack, which is so cool that I bet you wish you were also a plumber right now. Your goal is to traverse a water system and help guide water into the pipe below. It might sound easy, but it's not. The antagonist of this game had to go to plumbing school and stuff, and then had to train using a jetpack in order to make it look easy. In order to help guide the water into the pipe below, you can use a limited amount of blocks which you can place wherever in order to guide the water. The gameplay was fun and kept me hooked for quite some time. I give Aquilibrium a 3 stars from the Mushroom Kingdom rating. Staying with the theme of water, we have Aqua Kitty, Milk Mine Defender. In this game you play as a cat in a submarine that needs to protect its other cat friends who are busy milking the ocean. There are robot jellyfish that try and kidnap your buddies and other robotic fish that can kill you. You need to eliminate all the waves of enemies in order to win. This game might sound strange, but it is a lot of fun to play. I give Aqua Kitty Milk Mine a gallon of milk rating. After being impressed by 2 games in a row, I was sure that disappointment was around the corner. But I was wrong, the next game is Minesweeper. I give it a 10 out of 10 rating. Ape of Steel feels like a game that was supposed to be too good to be on mobile phones from this era, but they made it anyway. I was pleasantly surprised by both the graphics and gameplay of this title. You play as a cyborg space monkey that needs to save other monkeys on a monkey planet from an ape invasion. The game features twin-stick shooting gameplay with linear levels, and you need to defeat all the enemies in a stage in order to progress. My time spent with this game was quite fun, and I look forward to going back to it in order to explore more of this game's world. I give Ape of Steel a banana for scale rating. 60 Second Shooter Deluxe is a good game for when you have a minute free and want to have a pretty okay time. You play as a triangle that moves around on a plane. You need to collect green objects while avoiding other objects such as squares and more squares. You can go through yellow portals to advance to the next floor, and doing so will bring all the squares left on the current level with you. You have 60 seconds to rank up as many points as possible before the game is over. This title offers nothing game changing, but still utilizes its formula well enough to keep me busy for a few minutes. I give 60 Second Shooter Deluxe a 1 minute rating. The next game on the list is Super Skull Smash Go. I enjoyed the sequel Super Skull Smash Go 2 that was released on the PS Vita, so I'm quite looking forward to this one.
I hate it.
Super Skull Smash Go is more of a puzzle game, as opposed to its successor which has bigger platforming style levels. The game is probably okay. You need to jump on skeletons and crush them in order to grab their skulls and throw them at an altar to complete the level. I guess in order to create the more fun sequel, they had to start somewhere. I was still left underwhelmed by this title. I give Super Skull Smash Go a smashed skull rating. Big Box is a game that uses a grid, and you need to use very confusing indications given on the side of the grid in order to eliminate unnecessary blocks and reveal the picture. I guess this game could be fun if you're someone who's left-handed and wears glasses, but unfortunately at the moment I'm not. I give Big Box a whatever the hell this is rating. When I think of my time with King Bean, I think of that one time when Morty met that jelly bean guy in that one episode. Maybe it's not quite that creepy, but the sun is looking a bit suspicious. In the game you need to move blocks around in order for King Bean to collect some beans. It is not much fun. The gameplay felt slow and I just couldn't get into it. Unfortunately, I have to give King Bean an earwax flavored jelly bean rating. Buzzy Ball is a game where you need to move around platforms with holes in them in order to guide a ball from the start to the end of each stage. It is nothing groundbreaking, but offers something to kill some time. The puzzles are okay, but I feel like I need something more from this game. I give Buzzy Balls a round ball rating. Meltdown Moon is a puzzle game with an extra element added to it. Apart from the matching puzzle game you need to play, you also need to move an astronaut around in order to avoid comets that fly over the screen. As if puzzle games weren't exciting enough, now you need to stress yourself out as well. I give Meltdown Moon a Space Obama rating. Hermit Crab in Space is a non-canonical sequel to The Little Mermaid.
Great. Now Disney's probably going to copyright strike me.
In this game, you play as a hermit crab in space, just as the title suggests. You have a spaceship that can't do much on its own, but by collecting different parts you can upgrade your spaceship with things like boosters, weapons and shields. Each part added to your ship can be mapped to a different button, allowing you to create your own movement and attack styles. The more blocks you collect, the more you can upgrade your ship, and designing a bad ship layout could spell your doom. In order to obtain more ship parts, you need to eliminate enemies who can blow your ship apart if you're not cautious. I give Hermit Crab in Space the best Little Mermaid sequel ever rating. Arctic Adventures Brain Freeze is a puzzle game where you play as an albino black bear stuck in the Arctic, and you need to push blocks onto platforms in order to progress. The game does a good job at testing your puzzle solving skills, but can also be frustrating at times, as making a single mistake will sometimes result in you having to redo the entire level.
At least the fire effects look cool in this game.
Especially when viewing it on a smaller screen, but that unfortunately does not contribute towards improving the gameplay. I give Arctic Adventures Brain Freeze a Frozen Brain rating. Earth Assault is a Space Invader clone. You play as a tank and need to shoot down waves of aliens moving closer and closer to Earth. It is a simple game formula, and Earth Assault manages to pull it off without changing too much. The game is vibrant with satisfying gameplay. The game's difficulty ramps up, pushing you to play faster and faster, giving some intense moments. The game is easy to pick up and enjoy in short bursts. I give Earth Assault an Invade My Space rating. Playing Fat Dragons felt like I was playing a bad Balloon Fight clone because they removed the best part of Balloon Fight.
The balloons!
Other than that, it is an okay game. You play as a dragon that is slightly flight impaired, but that's okay because everyone else in this game is also flight impaired. You fly around a level containing different platforms and need to hit other dragons flying around in order to knock them down. Once they're knocked down, you need to hit them again before they get back up in order to eliminate them. Eliminate all the opponents and you advance to the next stage. There is some fun to be had with this game. but I doubt that I will ever feel the need to go back to it. I give Fat Dragons a gym membership rating. Fuel Tyracast feels like a mobile port of the type of game that you would play with your parents at the arcade, because you're too slow to hit all the circles fast enough on your own. Luckily it translates to a fun time waster on mobile.
But this time it's more difficult for your parents to help, because they probably don't care.
You visit different reactors that needs their batteries charged up to optimal levels in order to start up. You can select different color batteries and then charge them by hitting the correct inputs on the screen in time. Overcharging a battery can cause it to explode, making you lose. It's not going to change lives, but it does a good job at being what it wants to be. I give Fuel Tyracast a Duracell rating. I wanted to love Cosmos, but it gave me reasons to say that it's just okay. In Cosmos, you play as a spacecraft that needs to navigate through maze-like stages in order to destroy enemy bases. Along the way, you will encounter loads of what I assume to be enemies. You can shoot at them a bunch of times, but it seems to do nothing at first. Destroy all enemy bases and advance. This is what I assume Cosmos is about, as the game does nothing to explain anything to you. I shot at enemies countless times with nothing happening. After a long struggle, I finally managed to take down one, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to. The gameplay is fun but very confusing. In the end, I'm not sure what rating to give Cosmos, as it seems like it might be fun, but it fails to tell you how. I give Cosmos a confused rating. Have you ever wondered what life would be like as a pixel?
No?
Well, now you can find out with Life of Pixel. Move, jump and collect the required objects in order to advance through small platforming levels. The game is easy to pick up, yet offers a challenging challenge. The game offers tons of fun little levels for different consoles, and even changes the art style depending on which system you choose to play, evolving the game as you progress. The short levels offers loads of fun and fits perfectly on a mobile platform. I give Life of Pixel a golden pixel rating. Magic Arrows is a puzzle game where you use blocks with arrows on them to solve different puzzles. The direction of the arrow on the blocks indicates which direction in which the blocks can be moved. Some puzzles works as a connect for colors game, while others need you to sort the blocks in a flowing pattern. It is a fun game for some quick brain busters on the go. I give Magic Arrow an Arrowverse rating. Mason Kanraku, also known as that game with the underwear in the icon, is a post-coital tactical espionage action game.
What?
In the game you need to collect all the dirty traces of what you have done, and get out without being spotted by old people. You can throw underwear to distract the old people. You know what? This game is unrelatable to gamers. Everyone knows that all gamers are virgins, and that makes us special. So how can we relate to a game about escaping after doing the,
Well, you know, the thing?
They should have made a game about a person trying to get laid instead. Maybe even get to the dirty part to teach us how it works. I think there's an untapped market for this type of game, and it has never been done before. We can call them adult games. The game will probably end up being boring, as we will keep getting distracted from our main goal every time a bow arrives or a new Call of Duty game gets released in the game, causing an endless loop of never finishing the game. Now back to the less relatable Mason Kanraku. The game controls well, but it still feels like it lacks the edge to keep me hooked. I give Mason Kanraku a Pantsu rating. Super Crate Box is a single screen action platforming game where you need to collect crate boxes while killing tons of enemies. Each time you collect a crate, your weapon changes, forcing you to change your strategy as you try and collect as many crates as possible. Collecting enough crates unlocks new areas and characters. The gameplay is fast and chaotic, yet fun. It is a perfect time waster that works well as a portable score chaser. I give Super Crate Box a high 5 rating. Pirates vs Monsters is
Wait, didn't we just...
It is basically the same game as Super Crate Box, but this time it has pirates. They even have a spot where you can stand on each stage where monsters can't reach you, while you kill the occasional monster from this spot and rank up some mad points, breaking the gameplay. I know that pirates are currently the hip new thing, but rather just play Super Crate Box instead. I give Pirates vs Monsters a hole in the ship rating. The next game on this list is some Japanese game, but I don't know what it's called because I'm language impaired. There are menus and what I guess are different stages. If you have any idea what is happening so far in this game, then you might enjoy it. I ended up skillfully managing to make my way to this picture. It's a picture of a young girl, and you get control of a magnifying glass. Wait, I'm not falling for this. I give this game I can't pronounce an FBI rating. Bouncing back from what we have just experienced, we find something surprisingly fun. Reimed Kapsu is a strategy-based building game that uses a minimalistic but effective art style. In the game you need to build a space station using different Tetris-shaped blocks. There are different types of rooms that provide resources such as food, crewmates, and defenses. These rooms all need to be connected by corridors, and you need to expand your space station in order to reach new resources, some of which are depletable. Every few minutes your base will get attacked, and it's up to you to get your space station ready for the onslaught. The game is addictive and pleasing to the eye. I give Ramped Capsule a Space Tetris rating. Things were starting to look in favor of saving PlayStation mobile games.
And then things went downhill.
Beat Slider is a game made by Sony, so it has to be a good game.
Well, I guess I was wrong about that.
It's just a regular sliding puzzle game with a skin. Such innovation by Sony. I give Beat Slider a slide off my phone rating. In the next game on the list, Galactic Junk, you play as a ship stuck in the Metal Mancer's territory with busted engines. The only thing you have to propel your ship is your turret, which you need to use to navigate through meteors and take down enemies, all while trying to get as far away as possible. It is a challenging experience that is short enough to keep you jumping back in for just one more round. I give Galactic Junk a Space Treasure rating. Georigin is a game taking place on a distant planet. The game starts with a cucumber reporting to a cat riding on a fish.
Yep.
It is your first day at work when the planet suddenly gets attacked. The next moment you start riding a spaceship and the game reveals to be a shooter game. From there the game becomes less interesting and just plays like a normal shooting game. Not capitalizing more on the cucumber thing was a big mistake. I give Georigins an unoriginal G rating. Pop Bug Zap is a game where you need to kill bugs in order to try and set off a chain reaction where they end up killing each other in the process. There are different stages offering different obstacles as well as different bugs that have different abilities when they die. But ultimately, it does not have enough to keep me wanting more. Maybe vegans might like this game, but I give Pop Bug Zap a V for extreme violence rating. Savior Sammy is a brick breaker style game without the bricks. Instead, you need to hit different icons in order to make them fall and then catch their icons with your bus. Once your bus is full, you need to drop the patients off at a hospital or else you can't carry any more icons. The game can be a fun time killer, but quickly loses its charm and lacks anything new to keep it interesting. I give Savior Sammy a bus full of patients rating. Run Run and Die is both the name of the game and how your PlayStation will go. Run Run and Die is an auto-runner game where you control a bird that tries to escape from a laboratory. Unfortunately for you, laboratories are a dangerous place, so you die a lot. In order to try not to die, you need to jump at just the right time to avoid all the traps. The game can get frustrating when the camera angle turns in certain parts and you can't see when to time your jump correctly. It can be a brutally difficult game for those who love the challenge, but the highlighted problems were enough to put me off. I give Run Run and Die a Run Run Away rating. Tiki Rush Escape from Lava Island is a game about a greedy little person that chooses to collect gems instead of focusing on escaping safely with their life. It is another auto-running game which automatically makes me lose interest in it from the start. Like most auto-running games, you run on your own. You can swipe down to slide or tap to jump and even glide.
Like a very light stone. Or a monkey.
The point as always is to try and get as far as possible, and there's even some boost to keep you going. I don't like running games, so I'm sorry, but I have to give Tiki Rush Escape from Lava Island a Frozen 2 rating. Shovel Shuffle is a puzzle game. You start in the corner block of a grid with different numbers on it. Moving in a direction makes you dig the same amount of blocks as the number on the adjacent block in that direction. The goal of the game is to dig as many blocks as possible without trapping yourself, as you can't dig the same block twice or pass on an already used block. This is a creative game, but it quickly gets boring as you also need to use maths to play it. I give Shovel Shuffle a broken shovel rating. 4 Revolution is a game. In this game you get different missions to cultivate plants. It is a strange game and I don't understand what is happening half of the time. It didn't give me much of a reason to stick around for too long, as the parts of the gameplay mechanics which I could figure out didn't seem like much fun. For this reason, I need to give 4 Revolution a 50th game on this list rating.
Wow, look how far we've made it. We're almost halfway.
In Tuffy the Corgi, you play as a cat that collects bones. It doesn't make much sense, but okay. The game suffers from auto-running mechanics, but in this platformer you can actually turn the cat to run the opposite direction, and there are some platforming elements added to the game so you don't just run in a straight line. There is fun to be had, but the game fails to click with me considering the auto-running aspect of the game. Some might enjoy the challenge,
especially cat people.
But unfortunately, I need to give Tuffy the Corgi a catnip rating. Panda Panic is a game with a point that I don't get. There is a screen filled with pandas, and you're a panda, and you kill those pandas, and you can also get killed somehow. I struggle to figure out if there's any fun to be had, as the game is confusing and doesn't indicate your objective clearly. Considering that pandas are an endangered species, I cannot condone this game. Besides, it is very unrealistic as pandas don't use inferior human tools such as knives.
Especially cat people.
I give Panda Panic an endangered rating. If you ever played Minecraft and you wondered why you can't be a fish instead, then Oceancraft Multiplayer is the game for you. You will probably not have any fun, but hey, you were imagining playing Minecraft as a fish, so I can't see things going well for you in the first place. In this game you play as a shark, you collect resources and use them to craft new items, but the clunky controls makes it a terrible experience. The rest of it is also not much fun. I give Oceancraft Multiplayer a not Minecraft rating. I might be missing something as Japanese is not my first language, but Elemental Ensemble Battle Exam seems to be a pointless game. There is a goblin on the screen and you tap the screen to attack it, and if you attack it enough, you can activate different boosts such as getting stronger attack power or temporary allies. You never kill the goblin, you just keep attacking it.
This sucks!
I give Element Ensemble Battle Exam a pointless rating. Magic Planet Snack Deluxe plays like a shooter game without the shooter part, so it's more like a scrolling game. You fly around collecting certain blocks while avoiding others. Wow, how far gaming has come. The color palette blends together a lot, making dangers stand out less than they should. I give Magic Planet Snack Deluxe a licorice tea rating. Ninja Insect is an augmented reality clone of Fruit Ninja and fails to augment your reality. It has the ugliest generic background and just uses your device motion sensors to turn the background. In this game, you need to swipe your finger on the screen in order to slice incoming bugs. Slicing a bomb causes you to lose a heart. The simple and nostalgic gameplay mixed with a camera that turns using motion sensors makes for a pretty lame experience. I could see how this might have been a big deal around the game's release, but this game didn't age well. Maybe if instead they made you walk around using GPS and made you catch bugs instead of killing them, then you could use your captured bugs to battle other bugs and take out hives, and when you take out a hive you get coins. They could have implemented different landmarks in a way that makes people walk around and socialize while trying to find one of the 150 original bugs, and then later on you could add even more bugs and mechanics. Maybe then they could have had a truly great augmented reality experience.
That sounds like a good original idea I just came up with. Maybe someone should try making that game. This could be big.
Unfortunately, Ninja Insect has none of those things, causing me to give it a missed opportunity rating. About Turn is a game featuring ducks. You get 5 ducks in a row and you need to click on them to make them turn and all face the same direction. When they all face the same direction, they will swim away collecting any item that might appear on the side of the rows. That's about the extent of how boring this game is. I give About Turn a wrong turn rating. Boolean Blitz is a game where you click on blocks to make them burst into coins. If you manage to match up blocks of the same color, they will merge, awarding you with more coins when you burst them. You need to rank up enough coins in order to continue after each level. This is one of those games that my wife would love. Unfortunately, she's not here right now, so I'm giving Boolean Blitz a very bad rating. The next game on the list is called Booba. I honestly don't know what I expected from the name, but it doesn't feature either of the things I was hoping it would have. Instead, you play as a magical bug and you need to collect seeds. There are different block layouts for each stage, and if you walk over a block it turns into stone, and you can't use it again. Luckily, as I mentioned, you are a magical bug, so you can switch your type by going to a magical block. Switching your type allows you to walk on stone blocks but not normal blocks, and switches the stone blocks back to their original blocks when walking on them. The game has some head-scratching puzzles and offers a good time, even while lacking the elements mentioned in the title. I give Booba a Dwayne the Stone Johnson rating. I'm not the biggest fan of puzzle games, but Spirits of Eldrum managed to entertain me for a bit. You play as 2 space bunnies, a light one and a dark one, and you move them around at the same time. The dark bunny can teleport through portals while the light bunny can kill enemies. You need to collect orbs around the stages in order to defeat the enemies and progress. While being a delightful game, it is a bit short. I would have loved to have more levels as I had quite some fun with the game. Unfortunately, after completing the game, I would probably never return to it as the game doesn't offer much in terms of replayability. I give Spirits of Eldrum a steaming quickie rating. Incurvio is a real-time strategy game where you build different structures for different resources to create troops. I love a good strategy game, but the lackluster touchscreen controls of the game spoiled most of the experience for me. There's fun to be had with this game and its enjoyable quirky graphics, but when you need to struggle to enjoy a game due to the controls, I'm not a happy gamer. I give Incurvio a touchscreen bad rating. The next game on this list is a brutal Dark Souls-like called Math Running. This was probably one of the most stressful games I played on PlayStation Mobile.
And I'm the smartest person within a 1 meter radius of myself. Yep.
The game gives you a number, and you need to send different numbered animals into a house in order to get the same number. The game uses mathematical science as a premise for fun.
Yeah. Why would you want to do that?
I give Math Running a Lion About Being Fun rating. Out of Mind is a psychedelic feeling 2D platformer where you need to traverse through stages and collect certain items in order to open the door to the next level. Your character can shoot enemies and kill them, or try to avoid them. The game has a very dark tone, but the controls are good, offering a fun although strange experience. I give Out of Mind a floating head rating. Grid Survivor is stupid. You fly around in a spaceship and eliminate enemies while trying to survive. It sounds like a fun game, but they gave it the worst controlling control scheme, making it hard to have fun, which is why I give Grid Survivor a bad controls rating. Nanageddon is a, oh shit, we can't show that on screen. What if my parents see it? I might get grounded.
I'm sorry about that. It appears there was a nun on the screen that was not wearing the official outfit chosen by the Pope. So let's skip to the gameplay.
Nanageddon is a game where you're a nun that needs to get rid of some Jehovah's Witnesses, as well as these dudes wearing jetpacks, which I would assume are Scientologists, due to them using science. These people shoot at you and you need to dodge them and try to eliminate them. It's not really that fun. I give Nanageddon a 3 Hail Marys rating. Sword of Rapier was a game that surprised me quite a bit, as I was not expecting such a fun game. The game is an action RPG that feels like it comes straight from the PlayStation 1. It has some fun gameplay but lacks a bit of variety when it comes to fighting. The story feels engaging from the start, and I would like to find out more about this world. That is why I give Sword of Rapier a Saber rating. That bull's chin looks better than the name sounds. The artwork makes it seem like it can be something fun. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a connection, so I was unable to play the game part of the game. I give That Bull's Chin a balls on your chin rating. Ambition of the Slimes is a tactics game that puts a spin on things by making you play as a slime, which is the weakest type of monster there is. In order to reach your ambitions, you need to take over the bodies of humans who challenge you, and then use them to defeat the remaining enemies on the battlefield. There are different types of slime with different abilities to use in different situations. The game has quite a lot of charm, offers a fun experience, and has enough content to keep you busy for a while. I give Ambition of a Slime an ambitious rating. In Super Duck, you play as a duck with superpowers, and you need to guide other ducks that are not super from the start of a stage to a certain goal. You get blocks that you can place to help guide the normal ducks. The game feels a bit slow, giving moments where you have to wait and do nothing, while the ducks slowly make their way to the goal. There's fun to be had, although it feels like the fun gets unnecessarily dragged out, making it less fun. I give Super Ducks a super fuck rating.
That was the 69th game on this list. I don't feel so good.
Cubics takes the gameplay of his old arcade games where you need to draw a line across the screen to unlock a part of some steamy picture, but it mixes up the gameplay by giving you a cube to work with instead of just one flat surface, and instead of steamy pictures, you reveal a sun.
Then what is the point even?
You need to cut your way through the cube piece by piece, without you or the line that you're drawing being hit by enemies. This classic formula offers tons of fun with some replayability value. I give Cubics a quarter cube rating. Castles and Creatures VX is a puzzle game where you need to make it through dungeons without being caught by enemies. Some enemies only move when you are in their sight, and you would sometimes need to lure them away to create a clear path. To be honest, this isn't my type of game, and it didn't manage to grip me in any way. I felt myself being bored instead of having a good time. I give Castles and Creatures VX a lazy zombie rating. Chimpact is a game where you need to launch a monkey from platform to platform to reach the end of the level, while collecting bananas and diamonds along the way. It can be fun if you're into that sort of thing. I never managed to get to the part of the game with the chimpanzees, but there were plenty of monkeys to be seen. I give Chimpact a jumping monkey rating. In Cosmos Cleanup, you're tasked to clean up space junk floating around an Earth-like planet. But you don't get any weapons to do this. You need to use the flame from your rocket to burn stuff to smithereens.
And then they burn!
I had quite a fun time with this game, burning away at all the junk in order to reach the next level. The gameplay feels good with bright graphics to lighten up the feel of the game. I give Cosmic Cleanup a burn through steel beams rating. I'm not a big fan of the Western version of Super Mario 2, but Curse of the Crescent Isles Deluxe does a good job at mimicking its gameplay. It's a platforming game where you need to get from point A to B. There are enemies, and you need to jump on them to pick them up in order to throw them. The fact that it is not themed as a Mario game gave me a bit more space to actually enjoy the game for what it is, and made me think that I should revisit the game it mimics. I give Curse of the Crescent Isles Deluxe a Toad rating. The Incredible Physics Puzzle Game Episode 1 is an incredibly boring game where you need to guide a basketball to a goal using the power of physics. You place some shelves or objects that affect the environment in order to move the basketball. The novelty wears off quickly when you discover that physics is nothing but maths in disguise. I give the Incredible Physics Puzzle Episode 1 and Episode 2 rating. Kung Fu Fight is not what it sounds like. I was hoping for a fighting game, but instead I got an auto-running game with some charming graphics. Slide, jump or fight your way through stages as your character keeps running on its own. The game offers a bit more in terms of enjoyment than most other auto-running games I've tried, but in the end of the day, it needs more Kung Fu fighting to make it stand out. I give Kung Fu Fight a Beverly Hills Ninja rating. Gravibot is a game where you play as a gravity shifting robot. You can shift your gravity to the top or the bottom of a screen, and need to get little gravity shifting boxes in order to gravity shift enemy robots, with ambitions and the hopes of building a robot family someday to their doom.
I swear, it was self-defense.
The gameplay is fun, but I found a lot of levels to be a little too easy. I give Gravibots a 4x gravity rating. Battle of Puppets is a game where you create different units to attack the enemy, who is doing the same. There are posts on every level that you can take over, and the goal is to destroy the enemy base. The units you create move on their own and attack on their own, so all you're left to do is create new units and upgrade them. I give Battle of Puppets a lame game rating. Sea Run is another one of his auto-running games, but this one manages to add some charm. The game features an art style reminiscent of the Game Boy era and has your character run on a beach. You need to move up and down to dodge people and objects and to collect coins. You can also jump and even glide using an umbrella if you need more distance to cross objects and environmental hazards. Even though it is an auto-running game, it didn't feel like the average auto-running game and feels like it has more depth. I give Sea Run a B for beach rating. Jero Nico is a game about a space cat flying on a fish-powered rocket chair thing, and you need to lead other animals to their ultimate doom before you run out of fish power.
Or at least that's what I think happened.
Whatever is happening, I give Jero Nico a Pita rating. Tile Go is a game where you move around blocks in order to match the arrows in their corners, and then you get a score when the timer runs out. Uninspiring, just like this review. I give Tile Go a crappy review rating. Tractor Trails is a game where you need to make a tractor with a chicken riding on it complete a trail. You can only go over a block once, as driving over it causes a tree to be planted. You gain some points which you can spend on upgrades, and besides that, there's not much else. It is an enjoyable puzzle game, but not enough to keep me hooked.
The chicken is kind of cool.
I give Tractor Trail a KFC rating. Merry Christmas Lady Santa is a stealth game featuring a Lady Santa in space. You need to make your way through a space station in order to find a present, while eliminating enemies along the way with grenades. On a space station.
Not very safe.
The game has some fun gameplay, but it is one level that ends quickly and takes away from the replayability the game might have had. I give Merry Christmas Lady Santa a Mrs. Claus rating. Heals of Glory World War II is a game that features very little heals, glory or World War II. You have a base that you need to defend from oncoming enemy attacks by eliminating the enemies through various methods, such as shooting them, throwing grenades, and some other ways. You can spend some points to unlock new methods to attack and take down enemies. It is okay, but it is not that entertaining. I was hoping for some more action, but I guess this will do. I give Heals of Glory World War II a slightly sloped rating. Pixel Colors is a game where the screen is filled with many different color blocks, and you need to make the screen one color by turning a block into another color and absorbing the adjacent blocks with the same color. It is simple and can keep you busy for a few seconds, but gives no reason to return to it. I give Pixel Colors a colorful pixel rating. Sokoban Katsu's Extended Play is a puzzle game where you need to use a cat to push balls of yarn onto platforms. It is okay. There is nothing to set it apart from any other games like this, and unlike Arctic Freeze, it has no fire effects.
At least the cat is cute.
I give Sokoban Katsu's Extended Play an adorable but just okay rating. Flick Hockey is an air hockey game. You use a paddle in order to flick a puck into your opponent's goal, while protecting your own. The game can get intense with fast-paced flicks, and it even offers a bird's-eye view for a two-player experience. I appreciate the fact that your finger does not directly have to be on the paddle to move it, giving you a better view of the action. I give Flick Hockey a Finger for Freddy rating. Radiant Flux is a space shooter game with some nice pixel graphics. You play on a scrolling screen and need to defend yourselves from enemies while blasting them away. Too bad the game controls like crap. I give Radiant Flux a Beginner Pilot rating. Galaxy is a game where you use a little submarine to explore a maze of underwater caves. There are some big fish that can kill you, but luckily you can blast them away. At the end of each level, you can use points earned to upgrade your submarine. The game is quite simple, but the exploration is done quite well, leaving you with something to distract you for a short while. I give Galaxy a Big Sushi rating.
Wow! Would you look at that? We're about halfway through the list. Now would be a good time to grab some more popcorn, have a quick bathroom break, and refill your Mountain Dew. Not in that order. While you get everything ready, I will perform a celebration dance that I've been preparing for this moment. Okay, Dance is over. Now it's time to get back to the games.
Aptly Archives NIS Duologue brings the classic RPG game Duologue to the PlayStation mobile platform. Unfortunately, the game is in Japanese, so I couldn't really follow the story. The gameplay was quite basic. Explore a dungeon, fight through random encounters, and make it to the next level. The gameplay doesn't break away from the normal RPG formula, so if you can read Japanese, you might be able to get some enjoyment out of the story. I give Aptly Archives NIS Duologue an Explore the Cave rating. Aptly Archives NIS Minigame Pack 1 is a collection of 3 minigames. The games are okay. There is a matching puzzle game, a slide down the hill on the pillow while hitting printies on the way game, and get the mushroom person from point A to point B game. All 3 games feel a little bit uninspiring, and putting the 3 of them together doesn't make it any more fun. The enjoyment with each of these games were over quite quickly, and I probably won't miss them. I give Aptly Archives NIS Minigame Pack 1 a quantity over quality rating. Aptly Archives NIS Minigame Pack 2 is another one of his 3-in-1 games, but this one doesn't work. I give Aptly Archives NIS Minigame Pack 2 a no rating. Cardboard Castle is a puzzle game set in a cardboard world. You need to get a cardboard knight to a cardboard castle by interacting with objects in his path. The knight is quite useless. I'm starting to suspect that he might not actually be a real knight, and instead is just some random dude who found some armor. Luckily the puzzles are quite creative, offering some fun to be had with this title. I give Cardboard Castle a paper rating. Musomando, Salvaldo, As Latifas is oh.
It's another fucking auto-running game.
You run automatically, jump over stuff and collect coins.
Wow.
You can even fly on carpets, clouds and some other stuff. This game is kind of a rip-off of Aladdin. I give Musomano, Salvando, As Latifas a Jafar rating. The next game, Dr. Weekly, is a clear example of what Dr. Luigi could have been if Luigi was a dog. You need to match 4 or more colors using polls in order to eliminate the viruses. And just like Dr. Luigi, it's fun for some reason. I give Dr. Wiggly a Dr. Mario rating. MB Re is a side-scrolling shooting game with some vibrant graphics that just seem a little bit off to me. It's fun if you're into these types of games, but the graphics hurts my brain a little. I give MBRE a Vector rating. Microbe Chain is a game where you need to keep a little cell worm inside a petri dish while avoiding being hit out of the circle by stuff. You need to try and last as long as possible, but not being able to see where the stuff that hits you is coming from usually means that the round will be over in just a few seconds.
Come on!
I give Microbe Chain a slightly infected rating. Game Lab Project feels like a really good prototype for a first-person shooter on a mobile. The game controls nicely and there's different weapons. The AI isn't the smartest, but they do the job. There are different levels and even a zombie mode. It is fun, but the game ultimately feels like just a prototype instead of a fully fleshed experience. I give Game Lab Project an okay first-person shooter rating. I'm not a very big fan of poker, but Super Tank Poker managed to make it interesting for me. It plays like a tactical game where you need to move around on a grid and take out enemy tanks. When attacking an enemy tank, you will initiate a round of 5-card draw poker and will have to wager your chips. Winning causes the enemy tank to lose its chips, but it does not let you gain them. If you manage to make an enemy tank lose all its chips, it gets eliminated. The gameplay is quite unique and makes for a fun experience. I give Super Tank Poker an all-in rating. Feed Me Oil is a game about politicians. You need to use different platforms and objects in order to guide the oil to the politician and win. It was more fun than the other basketball physics game.
But why would I want to mix my games with politics?
I give Feed Me Oil an oil spill rating. Beat Trellis looks like something that can be fun. Wait, this is not a game, it is a music making application. I give Beat Trellis a disqualified rating. Roll in the Hole is another game featuring a panda. An ape steals the panda's ice cream before escaping through a portal. Now the panda has to roll from platform to platform to collect ice cream that has been left behind and go through the portal himself. Who is this ape? Why did he steal the ice cream? And where did he get the portal technology? Why is the panda on platforms and why does he have to roll instead of just walking?
We will never know.
What I do know is that the game doesn't control very fun. You need to build up momentum to make the panda roll, but stopping him can be quite tricky. I give Roll in the Hole a Falling Panda rating. Passing time is a fun way to pass the time. The game puts your team in a circle and you need to pass a ball to each other in order to avoid the enemies getting it. If you pass it around enough, you build up a special pass which can eliminate enemies. It is a creative score chaser, but wait, that's not all. If you play it now, there will even be a fun little extra soccer mode included. I would have loved playing this game on my phone back in the day. I give Passing Time a Super Striker rating. Chromatic Aberration is a fun little platforming game that uses colors to change where you can go. You need to collect different color tesseracts in order to change your color and access the different platforms. If you collect all the tesseracts, a door will open and you can finish the level, but if you touch a complementary color, you'll die. It is a fun little gimmick added to a platforming game and entertained me for quite a while. I give Chromatic Aberration an arbitrary rating. Don't Die Dateless Dummy is a dating simulator with an inappropriate opening screen. In the game, you need to make the right choices in order to progress in the story and get a date. Making the wrong choice will cause the game over and banish you to a lifetime of virginity.
Just like in real life.
It might have some fun to it, but the sudden game overs makes it feel like every choice is an immediate decision instead of affecting the story in a long term. I give Don't Die Dateless Dummy a not for virgins rating. 10x8 is a matching puzzle game. You need to move around blocks in order to match blocks of the same color. It can be a fun game if you're into those types of games, but there's not much to say about it. It doesn't have much to make it stand out. I give 10x8 a 4x4 rating. Adventure Bar Labyrinth is a roguelike dungeon crawling RPG. You go into a dungeon and have to defeat the enemies on each level to collect resources and ingredients. Once you finish the dungeon, you need to go home and make yourself some food with the ingredients you collected, so that you can use it on your next adventure. If you die in a dungeon, you lose all your gear and the items you collected. You can also escape from a dungeon, causing you to lose all the experience you gained, but allows you to hold on to the items you collected. It is a fun little game that is sure to entertain at least 2 people who watch this video. I give Adventure Bar Labyrinth a sandwich rating. iBomber Defense is a tower defense game.
I don't like tower defense games because they're fun and they always make me play for longer than I want to play.
iBomber Defense managed to do the same. To sum it up, the game has a military theme and you need to place different towers around the map in order to stop an onslaught of enemies traveling on a path. Different towers attack differently and they can even be upgraded if you have enough points. It is very basic, but I still had a fun experience with iBomber Defense, which is why I give it a B for iBomber rating. Underline is a word game. You get a bunch of letters and they need to find words by connecting the letters using a flowing path. This game is a fun little brain challenger, good for wasting some time. I give Underline an italic rating. Snake is the next game on the list and probably the best mobile game ever created.
I mean, have you seen it?
You play as a snake that needs to collect blocks. Collecting blocks makes you longer and sometimes even faster. If you crash into walls or yourself, it is game over. In this iteration of the game, they did not innovate at all and kept the game as basic as possible.
Perfect!
I give Snake an 11 out of 10. Runner is one of those auto-running games, but instead of a character running, you play as a shape. And instead of it being a side view, you play in a 3D tunnel. Your shape moves on its own, and you need to move left or right in order to avoid incoming blocks. It's lame. I was so bored. Help me. I give Runner a weird shape rating. Life is Born is a game where you need to navigate a bunch of these little things through water and try to collect items without losing all of these little things by crashing them into rocks. The game controls badly, and at this point, I just can't care much for it. I give Life is Born a wet rating. Rocking Roadie is a colorful game where you need to try and balance as many items as possible on a seesaw with a limited amount of time. It is a fun experience, but the novelty wears off as quickly as the timer. I give Rocky Roadie an unbalanced rating. In Chain Reaction, a bunch of crystals floats across the screen, and you need to pop the right crystal at the right time, and hope as many crystals as possible will fly into it, causing a chain reaction.
I've seen bigger crystal explosions than that.
The stages increase in difficulty, requiring you to burst more and more crystals. This gameplay could have been fun if they maybe replaced the crystals with dragons, because dragons are cooler than crystals. Anyways, I give Chain Reaction a weak link rating. Castle Invasion is a game where a bunch of enemies storm a castle, and Robin Hood protects it from on top of a wall.
Look at him! Look at him with his little bow and it's like...
Waves of enemies will approach your castle and try to break your wall, and you need to use your projectile weapons to tell them no. It is a basic but fun little distraction suited for mobile. It however gets old quickly. I give Castle Invasion a 2 coconut halves rating. Nico Rush is another auto-running game, but this time you're a cat.
Meow!
You need to run and collect more cats to run with you, increasing your speed and giving you somewhat of a shield. The game speeds up to a point where you can no longer react fast enough to oncoming danger, causing you to crash and lose some of the cats. It is one of the better auto-running games on this list, but it is still an auto-running game. I give Nico Rush a double nyan rating. Fragment's Note seems to be a dating simulator. I'm not entirely sure because the game is in Japanese. I'm just realizing now how much understanding Japanese would have helped me in this video. But hey, we all have our flaws.
Right?
Like my one brother is ugly, but we don't tell him that we say that. At least not knowing Japanese at this point in time gives me a goal to strive towards. So back to the game. All of a sudden a girl shows up in my room. Hey, no, I might not understand you, but I'm already married, so no thank you. I give Fragment's Note an inappropriate rating. Switch Galaxy is an auto-running game disguised as a driving game. You drive down paths and need to switch lanes in order to avoid obstacles. The difference comes in that this game is actually more polished than most and ends up giving a semi-enjoyable experience. If you like these types of games, this is the one I would recommend. I give Switch Galaxy a Changing Lanes rating. Bike Rider DX is yet another 2D auto-running game, but this time you use a bicycle to get from point A to point B instead of running. As an auto-running game, it does offer some charm, but in the end, it turns you into a cyclist, and we all know that cyclists are bad for society. Even though it's a good game with a lot of enjoyable moments, I have to give Bike Rider DX a learn the difference between a red light and a green light rating. UFO Dad is a matching puzzle game with some extra bones on it. As a dad, you need to match up blocks containing burgers and prevent the aliens from stealing it.
This is also true in real life.
Every few seconds a UFO uses their beam to drag up another row of ground to work with. It offers enough uniqueness to make it stand out from regular matching puzzle games by making you a father. I give UFO Dad a flipping good burgers rating. Ninja Blast is another one of those auto-running games, but it features a nice art style. Instead of collecting coins, you slice your way through monsters and have to even kill a final boss at the end of each stage, and you do so by running into them.
Wow!
The game does have a nice tempo, and the controls work well. I give Ninja Blast a blowy Fortnite rating. At first, the Cube seems like an intricate game with difficult to understand user experience because the menus are so confusing. And then you finally get to the game part, and it's just a sliding puzzle game. The game can be fun, but it gets old quickly with the artworks and the game loops being repetitive. I give the Cube a just sliding through rating. Phlegm is disgusting, and now you can play as one. Phlegm is a platformer where you need to get through stages without dying. Dying will send you back to the start of a level, so precision is key. The game features a pixel art style that looks okay, and the game controls are responsive. I just think that I'm not into playing as a Phlegm. I give Phlegm a rating. Rush Cat is another auto-running game featuring a cat. But what makes this one different is the fact that you need to move the ground underneath the cat to make it perform actions such as jumping and reaching fish. The fun fades as quickly as it takes you to realize that this is just another auto-running game. I give Rush Cat a rushed rating. Samurai Beatdown is another auto-running game. But they managed to spice up the game a little bit by using rhythm elements. You play as a samurai running through a stage and need to slice enemies in front or behind you to the beat. The game is best experienced with headphones, but it is still playable without sound. With a rhythm mechanic, the game manages to offer something slightly different in a long list of auto-running games. I give Samurai Beatdown a smells like sunflowers rating. Eternal Inceptor is a shooter game. Like most shooter games, you fly through levels shooting at enemies that are trying to take you out. At the end of a level, there is a boss battle that pumps up the difficulty and the amount of bullets you need to dodge. The game controls are smooth, and the graphics are good in the sense that important elements like enemies stand out. The game gives a good level of challenge, and things can get quite crazy on screen. I give Eternal Inceptor a Maverick rating. Wing Warriors is another shooter, but in this one you play as an angel flying around and shooting at other flying enemies and ships. The game is fast paced and gets chaotic at times. Luckily the controls are very responsive and makes the game fun to control. I think the fact that it includes a character and not just a ship makes it more enjoyable to me than most other shooter games on this list. I give Wing Warriors an Icarus rating. The Labyrinth is a game where you need to guide a ball through a maze filled with holes, and try to reach the end without falling through a hole. The game uses motion controls to control the board, making the game unplayable while you're busy driving.
Darn it!
It is still a fun game, and you can use other control inputs to guide the ball, but the motion control keeps messing with it. I give Labyrinth a Maze rating. Cardboard Cat Extended Play is a game where you need to guide a cardboard cat through rooms without dying. At first, the rooms seem empty and innocent, but by clicking on the back touchpad of the Vita, you can reveal hidden traps that you need to avoid. There are other visible traps later in the levels, but you constantly need to click on the floor in search of danger, and that can get irritating quite quickly. Therefore, I give Cardboard Cat Extended Play a Californian Starter Home rating. Bat King is a game where you play as a bat that needs to collect blood or orbs and get to the heart in the level to complete it. There are some levels that uses time trials to challenge you further. If you hit the ground or the walls, you need to start over. The part that makes the game interesting is the fact that you can only control the bat by flapping up right or left, making it a challenge to get around each level. It is a fun experience and works perfectly as a mobile time waster. I give Bat King a Justice League rating. Blinking Blobs is a puzzle game where you use different colored blob creatures that you need to launch at other blobs of the same color in order to eliminate them. Every few seconds the blobs move closer to you by adding an extra line. Luckily, you're only chasing a score and don't need to eliminate all the blobs. The game can be fun for a little while, but gets old quickly. I give Blinking Blobs a That Was It rating. Blue Skies Air Force Academy is a shooter game where you play as an attack helicopter. You fly around the map and need to eliminate all the enemies before landing. The game controls well, but the gameplay feels a bit lackluster as the enemies are too easy to take care of. The game might get tougher later on, but there was nothing interesting enough to keep me around long enough to find out. I give Blue Skies Air Force Academy a half an Apache rating. Everybody's Arcade is a game that contains 5 games, from pie throwing to poker.
Cool!
Unfortunately, I couldn't access these games as I could no longer purchase them, leaving me with nothing to do but watch the credits. And that's no fun. I give Everybody's Arcade a locked down rating. Mega Blast feels like a Space Invader style shooting game. You move from left or right, blasting away at enemies, and then you can switch between bottom or top of a screen, or vice versa, to allow you to collect items as well as use it tactically in case enemies gets too close to you on one side. There's still fun to be had with this game, and it works well as a portable experience, but the game feels like it needs a little something extra to truly make it stand out. I give Mega Blast an Optimus Blast rating. Behind You is a stealth game that actually feels at home on mobile. The game offers good cartoony graphics and fun mechanics such as taking down unsuspecting enemies. In the game, you need to make your way from elevator to elevator on each level while not being detected. If you get detected, enemies will start attacking you and you need to run away and hide out of sight in order to survive. There are health packs that you can pick up, but they offer very little health, which is why it's better to think about your next move and stay out of unnecessary danger when it can be avoided. It is an overall great mobile gaming experience, which is why I give Behind You an In Front of You rating. Zero War is a game where you attack rocks until you can take over a planet. There are lots of planets and some of them even have advanced rocks in the form of enemy spaceships. You need to put together a fleet of ships and go attack other planets, which will yield you a bigger space military budget, which unfortunately means that there is less money to be spent on education. Luckily, people are expendable in this universe, as you can either choose to attack enemy ships or just kamikaze into them. It is a fun mobile experience, but fails to keep its charm for too long. I give Zero War a 3 solar star rating. Next up is some Japanese game, which is why I don't know the title.
Wait! This looks familiar!
It's Zero War, but disguised as a Japanese game, so there is no real reason for me to look at it again. I give it a 4 solar star rating. OMG Zombies is what Chain Reaction could have been if they put a little more effort into it. In this game, you play as a stranded squad member with lots of zombies in your way. You only have 3 bullets to kill as many zombies as possible. Luckily, zombies explode, creating a chain reaction of exploding zombies if they are close enough together. After each round, you get a score based on how many zombies you manage to eliminate, and then you have to move forward on a pyramid-like grid to the next level. The game works well for a mobile experience, offering quick levels that can be replayed multiple times in order to better your score. I had some fun with this title, which is why I give OMG Zombies a Delicious Brains rating. Chibura is a strange but interesting game. The story is about you and an old guy going to a hot spring. But unfortunately, a whirlpool appears and sucks in the old guy. Now you need to jump into the hot spring, bounce on the old guy's head, use a bunny to swing from different circles, and take out rubber ducks that are trying to eliminate you.
What happened to the relaxing part?
The gameplay is quite entertaining and unique, and makes for a good time waster. I give Chibaru a Downwell rating. Hunt for House Terror Town is a cute little game where you play as a ghost that needs to possess objects in order to scare people away. There are 4 different locations, each with its own themes and items to possess. At the beginning of each location, the amount of things you can do is very few, but as you slowly build up the scare factor for the area, you start to unlock more and more ways to use the items and scare people away. You need to scare everyone away in order to complete the area. The game is tons of fun. It is just a shame that there are only 4 locations, as replaying the game is less entertaining since you know everything you can do now after a playthrough. I give Haunt the House Terror Town a Casper rating. Ascent of Kings is an adventure 2D platforming game. Your older brothers each receive an item, which is a slingshot, gloves to climb, and shoes to jump higher from your father. Your father then tells you that you are too young to go on the trail and that he doesn't have an item for you. You decide to go on the trail anyway and discover your brothers who failed one by one and acquire their items in order to continue with the trial. It is a fun adventure platforming game with some added charm and a great experience. I give Ascent of Kings a better than your 3 brothers rating. Quiet Please is a game where you need just a little bit of silence to take a nap, but everything is making a noise, from the neighbor mowing his lawn to your dad watching TV and your younger brother wanting to be entertained. You need to find items in order to solve puzzles, such as keeping your younger brother busy, getting your mom off the phone, and sabotaging your neighbor's lawnmower, all in the name of having some silence. I give Quiet Please a shh rating. Quiet Christmas follows the same gameplay as Quiet Please, but this time it's holiday themed, and instead of trying to get everyone to be quiet, you need to prepare for the perfect Christmas Eve by completing tasks such as helping your mom wrap presents and making cookies for Santa. It brings the same fun gameplay with new tasks to complete. I give Quiet Christmas a roasted ham rating. Candy Please once again takes up the same gameplay as the last 2 games, this time focusing on Halloween and making costumes for you and your little brother to go trick-or-treating in. The game is once again charming and a fun little experience. I give Candy Please a treat rating. Vacation Vexation once again takes the same formula as the previous 3 games on the list, but this time moves the setting to a vacation town, and you need to figure out a way to have a peaceful time on the beach. These games are fun and charming, but don't have much replay value, as the fun lies in figuring out hurdles in your way. They are still great once-off experiences. I give Vacation Vexation a relaxing holiday rating. Alien Augmented Reality is another augmented reality game that uses gyroscope movements with a predetermined background. You move around your device and shoot alien heads or jellyfish. It is very uninspiring, with even enemies being uncreative. I give Alien Augmented Reality a Sleep Through Independence Day rating. Alien Breed is a top-down action shooting game where you're stuck on a ship full of aliens.
That sounds just like a normal Monday to me.
You need to make your way through the levels and collect items while eliminating any aliens that try and stop you. The gameplay is quite fun, leading to an overall good experience with the game. I give Alien Breed a Predator rating. Shooting is a game that doesn't make much sense to me. It uses the same map style as Zero War, but instead of having turn-based battles, you fly around with a ship and take out enemies using controls I can't quite figure out. Sometimes it works, and other times I'm just swiping the screen with no reaction from the game. I didn't enjoy my time with this game that much, which is why I give Shooting an uncontrollable rating. Word Block is a word game. In Word Block, you get a Rubik's Cube with letters on it. You can twist and turn the cube in order to move a position of letters, and then need to try and make different words using a flowing path on the cube. It is a fun and unique little word puzzle game, and worth the try if you like English. I give Word Blocked a Scrabble rating. Rock Bosch's Deluxe is an adventure shooting game done in an 8-bit retro style. You crash and are imprisoned on Mars, locked up in a mine. You find a gun, and then things get real as you need to fight your way out level after level. You later even run into Mars zombies, and have to deal with their continuous onslaught. It is a fun game with awesome gameplay. The smaller level sizes makes it great to pick up and knock out a few levels in, when you have some time. This awesome title is a must try. I give Rock Bosch's Deluxe a NES rating.
Wow! 150 done! That means we're almost at the end! And I feel fine!
Fractopia is something else. It uses your system's processor to render pictures that you can zoom into. A lot. It is quite an interesting experience being able to zoom in that much on something, but Fractopia is not a game.
Disqualified!
Lemmings is a game that has been around since before I was born. It is a puzzle strategy game where you need to guide a group of lemmings through a level by making them perform different actions to get there. Out of all the games that uses this type of gameplay, I found this one to be the most entertaining. It is an old game that still holds up through the years. I give Lemmings an old but gold rating. Down in the Valley is a first-person shooter, like Doom, but instead of shooting demons, you shoot cowboy crabs, cowboy pickles, and cowboy skeletons.
So basically, it's just like Doom.
Even though it can't stand up against Doom, it is still a good first-person shooter experience for a mobile game. There are actually stages to work through. You have different guns and you can actually complete an area in advance. The graphics aren't the prettiest to look at, and the stages all look the same, which can take away from the longevity of the fun of the game. I give Down in the Valley a skull through the wall rating. Gun Commando is another first-person shooter, but this one is a little better than the previous one on the list. You fight through stages filled with enemies, with a Doom-style gameplay. After a few levels, you reach an easy-to-defeat boss, and then move on to a new location.
Wow! Games can do that?
This is a fun first-person shooter for mobile from the era, and worth a try. I give Gun Commando a double pew pew rating. Dungeon Bandit is a top-down dungeon crawling shooter where you play as a scientist outcast by society. After passing through a wormhole, you get sent to a world between worlds and start looking for the ultimate treasure, immortality. In this game, you need to enter different dungeons and get through them by solving puzzles, getting past traps, and killing enemies. The game offers some fun gameplay, making it worth checking out. I give Dungeon Bandit a Professor Jones rating. Instant Dungeon is a charming little roguelike dungeon crawler, where you need to make your way through levels, picking up items and a key while avoiding enemies. The items you pick up can be used to kill enemies or protect you from attacks. Every time you die, you start over with a different character. There is quite a bit of fun to be had with this game, and its simple mechanics. I give Instant Dungeon a crawling rating. Dark Quest is a turn-based dungeon crawler where you need to make your way through a dungeon, defeating enemies along the way using free heroes. Each character has different strengths, and utilizing them the correct way is the key to victory. The game's graphics are very simple, with characters just being icons on the screen, but the mechanics makes it interesting enough to stick around for a bit. I give Dark Quest a lights off rating. Miko Gaku 2 is a game where you need to fly around in different rows while trying to avoid enemy bullets. There are 3 different beach-themed stages. It's okay, but it's very simple and gets boring really quickly. I give Miko Gaku 2 a sequel rating. 16-bit Trader puts you in the shoes of a child of a once humble trader who got murdered.
I'm gonna look so pretty when this fits.
Now you set on a quest to become the best trader and get revenge for your father's death. In the game, you need to travel between towns, buying stock in one and trying to resell it for more in the next town. As your funds grow, you can upgrade and increase your trading fleet in order to get more done faster. It is a good game for its genre, and manages to give a fun experience that has you always seeking for the next bargain to make some money on. I give 16-bit Trader a merchant license rating. A Healer Only Lives Twice is a game where you play as a healer following a warrior in a dungeon. You have a little bit of control over the warrior by selecting the row of enemies he will attack, but you will mainly be focusing on the actions of the healer. The warrior will fight enemies and get damaged, while you need to support him and heal his different limbs to help him survive. When you level up, you can unlock new abilities or spells, or even upgrade old ones. Every time you die, you will wake up from a dream and attempt to face the dungeon again. It is a fun game with some unique gameplay mechanics. I give A Healer Only Lives Twice a YOLO rating. Console Saga is a platform shooter where you play as a console fighting through a corrupted game cartridge. You can jump and grapple in order to get through the level, while having to shoot enemies along the way. You can acquire upgrades for your gun to easier deal with enemies. The game controls well and offers some fun gameplay. I give Console Saga a Game Boy rating. Decision is a shooter game where you fly in a spaceship and need to shoot different colored dragon heads. In order to destroy a dragon head, you need to switch up the color of the bullets you use to match the head you're shooting. The game ultimately feels a bit lifeless, which is why I made the decision to give Decision a all caps rating. Zuzu Go is a matching puzzle game where you slide columns of farm animals in order to match them up with each other. It's okay to entertain kids, but it's not that entertaining as a match-free puzzle game. I give Zuzu Go an Old MacDonald rating. Shuttle Quest 2000 is a side-scrolling shooter game that feels good to play.
Unfortunately, to my dismay, this is not the 2000th game in the series. Why?
The game is designed to look like it's being played on a Game Boy, with some nice pixel graphics. In one section of the game, you move around the base interacting with shops and people and receive your mission. In the mission part of the game, you play a side-scrolling shooter where you need to make your way through an asteroid field. The style is fun and the gameplay manages to feel engaging, considering that it is ultimately a shooter game. I had quite a bit of fun with this game and its creativity around tackling the genre. I give Shuttle Quest 2000 a Space Cowboy rating. Euphoria Adventures is an adventure shooter game that surprised me with how much fun it was. You play as a seedling ship and need to fly around to explore big environments and take over other colonies. Different colonies can grow different types of ships to use, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. You can acquire items to unlock new abilities and enhance your ship to help you on your adventure. The game is beautiful and vibrant and it is a joy to explore its world. I give Euphoria Adventures a Space Flower rating. Chaos Rings is one of the best RPGs I've played on mobile. I initially played the game back in the days on my iPod Touch, and the experience still feels good after all these years. It is an RPG made by Square Enix, so you can count on it being polished and good. The gameplay feels similar to a lot of RPGs by Square, such as Final Fantasy X, but that's okay as the game still offers an awesome time with its own unique story. Characters get paired into groups of 2 and need to survive in order to win. You can select between 2 different groups, offering different stories based on the characters, adding some replay value to the game. You run around the world finding chests and solving puzzles, with the occasional random encounter throwing you into a turn-based fight. There is loads of fun to be had with this title. I give Chaos Rings a square rating. Mech Hit is an action brick-breaking game that plays on a scrolling level. You control a bar,
But it's not like the fun type of bar.
and need to use it to stop a mech from hitting an electric bar, which seems like it might be you that's generating it. You need to hit blocks and different enemies with the mech ball in order to destroy them, and collect power-ups to gain short-term advantages. It seems like it can be a unique twist on the brick-breaking genre, but ultimately it gets boring quickly, as you realize that you don't actually need to destroy everything and just need to eliminate the things that are in your way. I give Mech Hit a Mech That Got Hit rating. Blue Beacon is a Mario-like platformer where you can turn into a beetle. The levels are nice, the controls are responsive, and it is a fun way to experience a Mario-like game on the phone without committing a crime. The game feels like a reskinned Mario game, where they swapped out Goombas for insects and coins for diamonds. If I had to criticize one aspect of the game, it's that it feels slightly slower than the average Mario game. It's an overall enjoyable experience with a lot of fun to be had. I give Blue Beacon a Luigi is the best rating. Emil's Task is an action RPG where you need to make your way through levels, defeating enemies along the way using magic. You can level up and learn new or stronger spells as you progress. At the end of each level, you receive a grade, which could give some incentive to replay levels at a later stage to gain a better score. You can also use funds collected through the stages to buy new equipment and items to get stronger. It is a fun game to keep you busy, and the shorter levels allows it to work as a portable game for mobile that you can enjoy over a long time. I give Emil's Task a Harry Wizard rating. Penguin Party is a puzzle game where you need to place a set amount of arrows in order to guide some penguins through a level to collect balloons, pass all of its dangers, and to safely reach a fish. There are some fun stages to figure out, but ultimately the game never gripped me, as it failed to deliver on the party as in its title. There are balloons,
But that doesn't make it a party.
I give Penguin Party a sober party rating. Boot Hill Heroes Part 1 was another surprisingly fun title. It feels like an Earthbound game set in the Wild West. Your town is being tormented by a gang of outlaws, and your dad, who is the sheriff, ends up getting killed along with the leader of the bandits in the shootout. The story takes place years after the incident, after the bandits have all disappeared through time. You set out on a new journey in this world, in this awesome turn-based RPG game. The story is deep but quirky, and it is a lot of fun to play. I give Boot Hill Heroes Part 1 a Snake in My Boot rating. Blood Red Wyvern 2 is a Panzer Dragoon clone, and it doesn't do a bad job of it. You fly on a linear path and need to dodge enemy attacks while attacking them back. You can look to your left and right to attack enemies that are hiding out of sight. This is basically just a scaled down version of Panzer Dragoon, but it has nothing to be ashamed of, as it is quite a fun experience for mobile. I give Blood Red Wyvern 2 a Dragoon rating. Mana Deer 20s is a survival game where you need to avoid a constant attack of meteors coming together and then expanding again. It is difficult to figure out how to efficiently survive, and I struggle to enjoy this game as rounds would be over in just a few seconds.
Just like the sex one day.
I give Mana Deer 20s a certain death rating. Citus Lambda is a rhythm game where you need to touch, drag and hold circles as a line that goes up and down the screen passes over it. There's not much that I can mention about the game, other than the fact that it is simple, yet fun and challenging. I give Citus Lambda a well-timed rating. The next game on this list is another Japanese game, so I'm not entirely sure about the name.
I'm sorry!
In the game, you need to touch blocks to eliminate all corresponding blocks with the same color. There is a bar that moves from left to right on the screen, and if you time your touches at the right time, you gain a bigger score. The game is a clever mix of puzzle and rhythm games that works quite well together. I give this game a some rhythm puzzle game rating. Raptor RPG is a very strange game. You play as a raptor that needs to go through portals to different 3D areas. In the areas, you need to collect DNA that is just lying around, as well as kill other dinosaurs for more DNA and food. You can also eat coconuts or other fruit if you're vegan. And when you get back to your base, you can spend your points to get new furniture like a couch. What is the plan here? Are you trying to set up an attractive bachelor's apartment so that you can lure a human here for lunch? Raptors can't even cook lunch. I don't understand how they could make a game that completely misses the point of being a raptor. I give Raptor RPG a best small dinosaur rating. Tokyo Jungle Mobile is quite an interesting title. It is a stripped down version of the Tokyo Jungle game released on the PlayStation 3. Most modes such as the campaign got stripped out, and what you're left with is an isometric grid-based survival action game that is tons of fun. The game takes place in a time when humans have gone extinct and nature has taken over. In the game, you choose one animal from a selection of available creatures. You get herbivores and carnivores, and the type you choose will affect your overall gameplay experience. When you choose a carnivore, you will engage in battle more often and need to find meat to eat. A herbivore, on the other hand, would rather choose a stealthy path, and it eats plants. The goal of the game is to grow your territory and survive as long as possible, with more and more tougher enemies showing up as you survive longer. This was a fun and unique feeling experience to enjoy from this era in mobile gaming. I give Tokyo Mobile Jungle a thumbs up rating. Rebel is one of the games lost on PlayStation Mobile, as the company that created the game closed down, making the game unobtainable. In Rebel, you play as a character running around on an island collecting gems. Enemies show up and try to shoot you, but you can't fight back. Or can you? Yes, you can. If you manage to run between enemies at the right time, you can get them to eliminate each other. You can use the points collected to buy upgrades, such as running faster to give you more of an edge. It is tons of fun and chaos that offers a great experience for a portable mobile game. I give Rebel a Lost Ark rating. And finally we get to the last title on the list, Hill Cliff Horse. In this game you play as a horse, and you can run around on a big open map, find different locations, and even go ragdoll mode whenever you feel like it.
This is like the best game ever! Right?
Games are there to offer an escape and take away the boredom that is reality, even if it's just for a short while. Hill Cliff Horse offers just that by letting you experience what it's really like being a Hill Cliff Horse. I give Hill Cliff Horse a S tier rating.
It's over! It's finally over! Yeah! I never thought this day would come, but it's finally here! But wait! This video had a point. What was it again? It's not the fact that Superhero Fight Club Reloaded sucks. And it's not about Pokemon. That means it can only be about the question whether or not we should mourn all these PlayStation mobile games being lost. Well, the answer is yes.
If we don't make a point of preserving all games, then some of the best underrated games will slip through the cracks and be lost as well. All games, including bad ones, deserve to be preserved. If we don't have bad games to look back on, how will we know if we're heading down the same wrong path using game mechanics or ideas that didn't work out before? Or how will we know if a game is actually any good, or how much we have advanced if we have nothing to compare it to?
Now that we're done, I can finally get back to playing some games. Screw this! I've had enough! I want my Nintendo Switch! And I've got a family waiting for me at home.